All right, Jim. Well, let's magically move on with a few more questions here this week. This next one was sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com. Trying to find the name on this.
Uh-oh, another one of these
anonymous ones.
Anonymous submissions.
Well, here it is. Io, Jim and Brian. On this website, Glassdoor Reviews, it allows former or current employees to review their experience at the company they worked for, and lo and behold, it includes WWE. One that immediately was just music to my ear of truth. What? One that immediately was just music to my ear of truth was. That is what it says indeed. I will continue. This one posted on October of this year by an anonymous employee of more than 5 years. If you want to read more, here is the link, but we have the pros, the cons, and advice to management. Now, have you ever dealt with anything like this, Jim, a survey of former employees?
I have not. I've actually, if once that I've become a former employee, the company that I am formerly employed by probably doesn't want to hear my thoughts on their company.
Well, in terms of working for WWE, here are the pros. Great benefits, health, vision, dental, 401k matching. Vacation time is great, in parentheses, you'll need it. Employees are nice people. Great place to work for adults out of college. Does that mean right out of college or adults who they're out of college? They can't go.
Yeah, they're just out. They're completely out of college, like they're out of gas. They have no more college, and I got to be honest. I heard while I was there. Actually, I experienced it for I think 4 weeks. That they do have a big benefit and insurance program, or at least this was 25 years ago. Because when I first got there, they made me an employee. I've told this story. Until they realized that I would still be taking bumps and doing things as a manager, and then they had to unemploy me. But since they had already promised me that I'd get all this health insurance and dental insurance and all this other kind of insurance, life insurance and all this stuff, they purchased it for me and then reimbursed me the cost of it. I would pay for it, but they would reimburse me the cost of it. So it was like I had it but I was still an independent contractor, except for 4 weeks there. And so, yeah, it was real nice insurance and things. And the employees, especially in the office, the studio, the non-wrestling people, very nice people. And there was a lot of young people, especially working at the TV studio because of that. A nice place to work for adults out of college. If you're not married, you got a lot of energy, no life, no one else to talk to because you're going to be in the studio for days on end. That was that type of thing.
Here are the cons. Overworked staff. Major decisions are made last minute, in parentheses, literally day of. You have to be quick with the last minute changes or all hell breaks loose. High stress. Upper management has no idea what some of the departments actually do or how each department interacts with one another. Employees are nice people, though. So those are the cons.
That again.
Yeah.
Well, that's even in the cons. So in the pros and the cons, employees are nice people. Or they felt like he had to mention it again after he just said upper management has no idea what any of these people do.
And here is the advice to management from this anonymous employee. So much damage has been done to the current staff. I feel sorry for the employees that are working there now. The organization is short-staffed, and there are people doing 3 to 4 other jobs aside from their own. Not cool! With an exclamation point.
And this was October of this year, so this is after they've posted all these record profits. The reason they're posting record profits is because they're running a Simon Legree shop, and they've got people doing 3 to 4 jobs, and they're saving on that salary, right? That must be it.
It's not just the wrestlers they're cutting loose.
I mean, honestly, this could have, I know this was from this past October, but those things could have been written 25 years ago. Except, honestly, at that point, upper management has no idea what some of the departments actually do or how each department interacts with one another. I think that probably has been exacerbated over the last 25 years because they've gotten bigger and there are more departments. And especially I can see with the internet, social media, all that stuff, Vince wouldn't know. He probably wouldn't give a shit. It would be probably removed from, there'd be layers in between him and some of this stuff. So I can see how that could have gotten worse. Everything else sounds about right.
I talked to someone a few years ago, I won't use their name, even though they weren't on the wrestling side, they worked on the business side. And they said to me that whenever someone who used to work for WWE comes back, again, on the office side, the guy always thinks, this poor man, nothing has worked out for him. Whenever someone comes back after leaving, because it's one of those places you leave and you're happy for the experience, but you kind of don't want to go back there.
Well, it's kind of like, once you learn not to pick up that hot horseshoe, it's hard to talk you into picking up that hot horseshoe again because you're going to burn yourself, but this time you know it's coming.
Obviously, in the 80s, there was a lot of long-term planning for Vince and Pat Patterson. And even in the 90s, you guys tried to do long-term planning and things started changing in terms of the pace. When you read about the idea of last-minute changes, you got to be ready or all hell breaks loose. Were there a lot of last-minute changes in the 90s, or is this a modern, the last 15, 20 years thing where Vince just rewrites everything and changes everything on a dime?
No, when I got there on the creative team, 96, that's when Bruce and Pat said the same thing. We're like, oh, we'd had this stuff figured out, at fucking, I'm trying to do Pat's accent now, but, June at King of the Ring, we'd know what WrestleMania the main event was, and we worked backwards. And now it's just up in the air. They were telling me that it had gotten more last minute or more not booked farther ahead or subject to change or whatever at that point. And still, that's when, remember, we were doing a month's worth of TV in one night, even a month's worth of Raw shows in one night. There would be a lot of changes leading up to that, but then you couldn't hardly fucking change it after that because it's on tape. So then when everything went weekly, and that's when Vince started going crazy with the production meetings. The production meeting for Raw, when it was four 1-hour shows that were shot in the same night, was sometimes shorter than the production meeting for Raw when it was 1 2-hour show that was shot live. And then things started. So now I've heard stories. I mean, he would change shit up until what we considered the last minute back then in the 90s, but still we would laugh at the stories from WCW where they would go on the air for their 3-hour Nitro and they would still be working on the format for hour 3 when they were on the air with the format for hour 1. And Mike Tenay has backed that up. Yes, that happened. And we would laugh at them, right? Now I guess they're doing that. So it's gotten progressively worse.